Well, what do we have here? I'm about to sit down and take a look at another Torchwood audio drama from Big Finish that isn't the one that has been released in July 2020 as a part of the main range, even though this review will be going up in July 2020. You all know what that means. I basically got bored, and due to lockdown I went online, and it turns out when you click add to cart and purchase on an online website, wonderful packages will arrive to your door containing Big Finish audio dramas. Oops. So that does of course bring me to today's Big Finish audio drama review, as I'm going to be taking a look at a Torchwood main range release from the early days of the line, and it is of course One Rule, as written by Joseph Lidster, featuring Yvonne Heartman as portrayed by Tracy-Ann Oberman. Now, in my defence, this is an episode as a part of the main range that makes a lot of sense for me to purchase and listen to, because it features Yvonne Heartman, and I've listened to Torchwood 1 already. I have reviewed all 3 volumes of Torchwood 1 that have been released so far, and this is the one and only Torchwood main range story that is entirely devoted to Yvonne Heartman. In a way, this release is kind of a pilot to the Torchwood 1 series, so it only makes sense for me to purchase it and listen to it. I wanted to in fact listen to it for quite a number of years now, and I've waited since 2016, so that is kind of patience right there. However, now I've listened to it, and here I am reviewing it because it is a bloody good story, and I want to share my appreciation with all of you guys, who hopefully will be going and purchasing some Torchwood at some point in the near future, because it is a great line of adventures. I reviewed quite a few already from the recent months of the Torchwood main range, and if you are an older Big Finish listener, this is definitely a series that is worth considering. Tracy-Ann Oberman as Yvonne Heartman. Where do I start? I know where to start. I bloody love the character. I absolutely adore the character of Yvonne Heartman, and that was accelerated massively by the Torchwood 1 series. It has created a life with Yvonne that makes her ending within Doomsday and Army of Ghosts even more tragic and beautiful, and it's not to the extent where I wish they didn't kill her off in Doomsday and Army of Ghosts. Don't get me wrong, I think that the impact of that death and now the context that has been applied to her character all these years later is brilliant, and of course this in fact is the last ever release that I've needed to listen to complete the Yvonne Heartman audio drama adventures from our universe. Yvonne Heartman does also star within the Aliens Among Us and Gods Among Us series, however from what I understand that is Yvonne Heartman from the parallel universe, because our Yvonne in our universe is dead. So starting off by taking a look at the production credits on the Big Finish website, the cover artist is Lee Binding, the director is Barnaby Edwards, the music has been created by Blair Mowat, the producer is James Goss, the script editor is Steve Tribe, the sound design is Neil Gardiner, and it has been written by Joseph Lidster, the theme music has been composed by Murray Gould, and of course the executive producers are Nicholas Briggs and Jason Haig-Ellery. A wonderful production team this time round, and general compliments I can give this episode from a production perspective as well as a scripting perspective is that this episode is of the time of 2005-2006 Doctor Who, and is of course a compliment that I can also stretch to the Torchwood 1 series. This little audio drama of only 1 hour long has so many little references to the first series of Torchwood, the series finale of Doctor Who Series 2, and general Russell T Davies era of Doctor Who. We have a reference to one of the banking companies that is seen quite a lot throughout the Russell T Davies era, the likes of say Magpie Electricals, but also we have further references to the Russell T Davies era as a whole. These same people have conquered the Daleks and Jadoon and all of that, but this kind of creates a sense of reality to it, as we have references to other alien invasions that have happened within the new series. Of course, the description of this story on the Big Finish website references the assassination pretty much of the Mayor of Cardiff, who did of course get killed within the Auton invasion of 2005, the first new series episode of Doctor Who, and we also get references throughout this story to the series finale of Series 2, which I suppose is a little bit of foreshadowing, which kind of leads to the entire events that unfold throughout this story. So basically this episode consists of Yvonne Heartman going on a little bit of a field trip from Torchwood 1 in Canary Wharf, London, to Cardiff Bay to Torchwood, the Torchwood hub that is of course home to Captain Jack Harkness, Toshiko Sato and Susie Costello. At this point Yanto Jones is not on the scene, he's in fact a part of Torchwood 1 as we see throughout that series, and basically we see Yvonne Heartman on a journey to track down a certain alien device within the Torchwood hub, and we don't don't get to see actual John Barrowman or any of the other cast in this story. We have little mentions to the characters, but nothing else other than that. And basically, Yvonne Heartman is tracking down a device that they believe will be able to help them identify the sphere, which is, of course, the void ship that we get to see within Series 2, which did contain the Cult of Skaro and the Genesis arc. So we have further references to the Russell T Davies era, and without that void ship, we wouldn't be in all of this mess, as this episode basically sees Yvonne going on a simple task and then completely sidetracked and going on basically a Cardiff bender around the city for a night. And it's a story that it highlights all of the pros and cons of a night out in Cardiff, because we get to see Yvonne going to lots of different pubs and clubs, meeting lots of different people that are admittedly very intoxicated, and she's trying to save the world or save people's lives whilst people around her are drunk. And from that point onwards, we are introduced to Barry Jenkins and Helen Evans, two of the most unconventional Mayor of Cardiff candidates that you would ever expect. And again, they plummet a sense of personality and reality into the story. They are hilarious to listen to, but also at the same time they are very real, because there are Barrys out there in the world, which for those of you that have listened to this story, you will know exactly what I mean. And I think that considering that this episode is only 1 hour long, it is a story that is a great commentary of characters and personalities like him, type of people that play the Joker to start with, the type of person that you don't take seriously within the likes of Elections. And because they are comedic, and because they are just joking about, oh, they can't do any harm, and hey ho, they're elected into a certain role, and all of a sudden this Joker figure has all of this power, has access to weapons, has access to organisations that previously wouldn't have had any access to whatsoever. And this story kind of goes full circle with that. It shows what happens when you have people like Barry in these situations, and we kind of have that untrustworthy side coming out, and the fact that to start with he's this jokey figure, however there is a darker theme lurking underneath. And likewise for Helen Evans as well, we have a beautiful side to her character where she is underestimated. She is another comedic personality, however she's comedic in another way. She's the type of person that you kind of think she doesn't know what she's doing at all, just because of the way that she displays herself. However, it's kind of a double bluff. She's a character that, yes, she may seem jokey to start with, however, in a sense, she knows exactly what she is doing. She's cunning, she's intelligent, and she's somebody that Yvonne kind of relates to in a way. Sequence of murders that have been taking place, or at least assassinations, as the Mayor of Cardiff has been killed during the Auton invasion, and basically the Cardiff Council are on the search for the next mayor to take over Cardiff City and then of course do all of the council business stuff. However, they have limited down the amount of people who could possibly become the Cardiff mayor. They're almost like the final 5 of X Factor. However, said final 5 are being tracked down and killed. To be precise, they're being tracked down and decapitated. However, it isn't a clean-cut decapitation. It's something of which that is savage and gruesome, and no regard has been taken at all for the human's body that has been killed, unfortunately, due to some unusual thing that Yvonne Heartman does of course instantly click onto, as she believes there is a little bit of alien involvement due to how savage the murders have been. Yvonne Heartman, as portrayed by Tracy-Ann Oberman, is absolutely incredible. I think that she's one of those characters that, yes, is very stern, yes, she is very serious, but basically we get to see her trying to maintain this professional, job-like relationship with the people that she meets, this strong female character. Throughout the story, we basically see that personality being nothing but tested. We have these drunk people throwing drinks at her during the pub by accident. We have somebody vomiting on her in a club toilet within the later half of the episode, and then equally there is also a fire as well, meaning that she loses all of her personal belongings. So it's not particularly going too well for Yvonne, but I think that Tracy-Ann Oberman portrays it in a way that is just so wonderfully realistic to listen to. It is clear that Tracy-Ann Oberman adores the character, and it is also equally clear that Joseph Lidster knows exactly how to write said character, because because there is something about her that is very consistent both throughout this story as well as Torchwood 1, and even in the pilot adventure, the likes of this, starting to see them develop this version of Yvonne, kind of suggesting little bits of her personal life and kind of the people that along the way she has sadly needed to let go, and the people that she's essentially needed to become friends with in order to get to the place that she is within Torchwood. We have a character that is very powerful and very work-driven, but to an extent this story kind of portrays how that possibly might be one of Yvonne's downfalls. So massive credit to Gareth Armstrong and Rebecca Lacey who bring those characters to life, because without them this story would be very different, because it is essentially a three-hander. You also have Catherine Stewart in there as well, kind of playing your generic Welsh characters that you kind of get used to within Big Finish Torchwood. However, again, it adds a certain atmospheric element to the story. You do genuinely feel like these characters are on a night out in Cardiff whilst everybody's out there partying, drinking, having fun, whilst the world is kind of falling apart around them, which again is kind of apt that we're now in lockdown and at the current time the pubs have just opened and people seem to be flocking with them and completely forgetting that we are still in the depths of a rather serious event where numerous lives are at stake. However, simply because the pubs are open, everything's fine again, apparently. But if you have been interested by what I've said throughout this review, I definitely recommend checking out this episode, because as I say, I've been wanting to listen to this story since probably early 2016, and it's one that I think now I've listened to, I'm kind of glad that I enjoyed it, because I've been hyping up this release for so long, and it definitely delivers. I think that Joe Lister has a way of writing a character that is so intriguing to watch unfold as the narrative plays out, and he has also created a story that isn't necessarily too taxing to listen to. Much like a lot of the Torchwood stories, they're great simply just to put on and enjoy, and they don't particularly take up too much brain power. You just enjoy the adventure unfold, which again relates very much to the themes that we see within Russell T Davies' era of Doctor Who, as well as the early series of Torchwood, where you kind of had a sci-fi, alien, bizarre adventure every single week with that adult material in there as well, talking generally about politics and the world and people and emotions and how others respond to that. And of course, just to conclude, I think that this episode has once again solidified my appreciation of Tracy-Ann Oberman as Yvonne Heartman. I think she is incredible, and the fact that I've now listened to all of the Torchwood 1 box sets plus this makes me think there is only a certain series of box sets left that I can now move on to hear more of the character, albeit from a different universe, but still, it's more Yvonne Heartman, so I'll probably get around to them eventually, but I'm not promising anything. So that is my review of Torchwood 1 Rule as written by Joseph Lidster. I hope you have enjoyed it. As I mentioned at the very start of this review, if you are interested by what I've said, feel free to check this episode out on the Big Finish website, because much like the rest of this series, it's something that if you are intrigued by, I definitely recommend taking a look at and buying an episode or two there as a little tester run to see if you like what you hear. And of course, do stay tuned on the Host Productions for brand new Doctor Who content each and every week, from Big Finish reviews, product reviews, and so much more. So thanks for watching, and I shall see you all next time. Bye for now.